from Diversity CRE TV, and hi, I'm Niles Reyes, and my guest on this episode is Lin Corsey. Lin serves as the Director of Project Management at CBRE Philadelphia. Mr. Corsey has 24 years of experience in project and construction management. He has contributed to the successful completion that includes, but is not limited to, Merck Pharmaceuticals, the Philadelphia Zoo, Cira Centre, the Please Touch Museum, and the Howard Hughes Medical Facility. Additionally, Lin serves his community as a volunteer firefighter at the Helping Hand Fire Station in Deptford, New Jersey. Lin is a graduate of Temple University with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering and received a Master's of Science in Engineering Management from Rowan University. I spoke with Lin earlier, and here's what he had to say.
Lin, what's going on, man?
Oh, man, it's a pleasure being here with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come down to downtown Philadelphia and talk with me and share your story with the rest of the world.
Not a problem, man. This is my stomping ground.
Oh,
all of Philly.
Yeah,
all of Philly.
Definitely, I know that. So let's start out. I always like to take it back to the roots.
Yep.
You can take it back to the motherland if you want to.
Okay.
So tell me, where is your family originally from?
Well, actually, my family is originally from South Jersey.
Okay.
That's pretty much the homeland for us.
Okay.
Woodbury, Deptford area, Camden, we're all sprinkled within that area, but mainly in Deptford, New Jersey.
Awesome.
Yep.
And your family dynamics, do you have brothers and sisters?
Actually, I'm one of one, man.
Really?
Yeah.
You're the only child?
Yeah.
I would have never known, man.
My mother's only child. Not my dad's, but my mother's only child. So I have a brother in California.
Okay.
I have two sisters. One's also in South Jersey. The other one is in Ohio.
Okay.
I stay close to my brother, especially through Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
We stay in contact. But that's pretty much it. I'm usually riding solo.
Speaking about the area you grew up in, let's start out with the schools you've gone to. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to start out with the high school or go straight to college, but tell me a little bit about your educational background.
Educational background, graduated from Overbrook in South Jersey out of Pine Hill when I lived in Berlin with my mother. From there, I went to Temple.
You?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Another grad in the house. That's what's up.
Yes, I had my civil engineering degree from there, bachelor's. And then about 10, 15 years later, I went for my master's. I went to Rowan and got my master's in engineering management.
Okay.
I'm completing my appraisal license now. I'm a licensed realtor in South Jersey. And I'm also a volunteer firefighter in South Jersey. So
amazing. I know I know your background. I didn't know all those details, but I did know that you had a plethora of experience, and that's why I wanted you on this platform to share your story with everybody that'll be tuning into this. So thanks a lot for sharing that. Now let's break that down a little bit. What got you involved in, or what brought you to TU?
What brought me to TU was actually my father.
Okay.
My father was a mechanical engineer way back in the day.
Way back, okay.
So my father worked on the casinos down in Atlantic City before they had names.
Okay.
Before Harrah's, the Playboy Casino, Tropicana, they had numbers.
Okay.
So when I was young, I used to go with my father on the weekends to go down and check on the job sites. He would see how progress is going. And being a mechanical engineer, it tipped the scale for me. It had me thinking of more that I could do for myself and what my father has done. Now, he's long has passed now, but I got the opportunity to experience a lot from him.
Okay.
And he actually introduced me to Steve Wynn, who has Wynn Casinos.
What? Are you serious?
My father actually left Jersey, went to stay with Steve Wynn, back to Las Vegas to build one of his casinos. My father never came back. He put his roots down in Palm Springs, California, at the JW Marriott. He actually did the mechanical system in there. I'm not sure if any of your viewers or yourself are aware of it. It's an incredible hotel where they have, I want to say, this river that comes through. You get little cabanas and you go out to different restaurants and to the golf course. Well, that all has to be conditioned, air conditioned, heat and all that. My father did that design for that.
Awesome.
Yep. So that's how it started, just the knowledge of my dad and what I saw when I was young with him and hanging out with him.
And is that what made you want to do civil engineering?
I knew I was going to do engineering, architecture. I just didn't know what.
Right.
And I settled in on civil engineering because I always wanted to know how buildings stood.
Right.
I was one of those kids that played with Legos all the time. So by playing around, I just didn't understand how buildings stood up.
Right.
by being a civil engineer, I found out how.
Oh man, that's amazing. And then you graduated from Temple, and then what was your first job? Well, first of all, did you know you wanted to get into commercial real estate per se?
No,
Or
not
construction
really.
management?
No, I was not sure because none of that back then in the 80s was exposed to me. It was either architect or lawyer or whatever. Understanding what a civil engineer, I didn't know I could do bridges, highways, road. I did not know until I got into school, and then I just started putting my feelers out and it started to grow from there. But I always loved buildings.
All right.
And I wanted to stick with that. So I knew commercial was pretty much where I was leaning towards, more than residential or anything else.
Right.
And that's what took off.
Okay, then. And what was your first job in the industry?
First job was with Turner Construction.
Turner, okay.
Yes, I spent 10 years with Turner cutting my teeth.
Wow.
And I was right back here in the city again. The Inn at Penn was my first building.
Okay.
And it was something to bring it out the ground and be an assistant superintendent directing the manpower out there.
Right, right.
So at that point I was able to really see how things went together, not just on paper, but in the field.
Right.
I learned a lot.
Right. So you spent 10 years. What were the different roles that you had at that firm?
Wow. I went from assistant superintendent to project engineer. I was in the cost department up in North Jersey. Came back down, became a construction manager in Pennsauken, where Pennsauken floated the bond to build a lot of new schools in the early 90s, or late 90s. And I managed all those buildings at the same time.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then after Turner Construction, where did you go from there?
After Turner, I went with another company. I got a phone call. I was down in DC doing the Howard Hughes Medical Facility in Leesburg, Virginia. And I received a phone call from the operation manager, the former operation manager that hired me at Turner, saying, hey, I moved on to this other company. I see this other opportunity. And he pretty much made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I called back, talked to the wife. She was like, go have coffee and find out. And when I found out, and it turned out to be a great jump.
Awesome.
A great jump.
Awesome.
I ended up working down Delaware on the waterfront. I built an incredible facility, mixed-use facility, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
And that was your last, well, that was your job before you joined CB?
That was a company, two companies before I came to CB.
So what was the company after that?
Then there was another company, a brother-owned firm, because around that time, it was 2008, things started to slide. So this company started cutting off people, and luckily I made it to the third round before I ended up getting let go. At that time, I had a friend who has now moved on too, that turned me on to another company, minority firm, say, hey, they could use your talent, sit down with them. And I went and I sat down with that brother, and we started putting our heads together, and next thing I know, I'm building again.
Wow. That's amazing, man. And so tell me some of the projects you worked on in the city of Philadelphia, if you don't mind sharing.
Some of the projects, I would say, the Link. I was doing the cost for that when that was a joint venture with Turner, McKinsey, and Keating. That was an incredible project because that was a stadium, so you just don't get to do stadiums all the time.
You had a part in that stadium going up, the Lincoln Financial Center.
Yes, as far as the money's concerned. So I knew where the money was going, what was coming in, what was going out. Worked on that. I worked on Cira Centre, that's behind us in the drop. That's one that I really loved because I actually was in charge of all the steel going up. And there's a window washing unit that came from Germany that went to Seattle that landed here. That's actually on top of that structure, and it's underneath some of the planking that's there. So I got to build a lot of incredible buildings. The parking garage at the zoo, just because Philadelphia Zoo is the oldest zoo that had a lot of press on it. I'm doing one right here, right now, next to our building where we're having an interview.
Oh, wow.
And that is a mega building going up too.
So you've been involved in probably half the skyline here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I could turn around and pretty much count 3 or 4 high rises that I had my hands on.
Wow, man. How does that make you feel?
At the moment, it's bittersweet, actually. It's great to be able to be blessed to have the ability to be part of a team to actually do something like this. So I'm always going to look at the skyline and smile. The bitter part of it is that I would love to share that with more minorities
Okay.
and have more brothers and sisters involved with it.
Right.
So they could see that experience, because high rises don't go up every day.
Right.
Especially in this area.
Right.
So just to have that knowledge to be able to talk about it is one thing, but to have someone beside you that has grown and learned off it as well is another thing, because now we could spread that.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking about investing in communities, let's go back to your involvement in the South Jersey community and some of your family history. So you recently toured, or you gave us a tour of the firehouse. Can you tell us a little bit about the firehouse? Take it back to how it was started and what your involvement in that
Oh,
is.
absolutely. The firehouse is part of Deptford Township. It's part of an area called North Woodbury in Deptford. Majority all African American settlement.
Right.
The firehouse this time next year, we'll be celebrating 100 years.
Really?
Yes, yes. So there was a group of brothers that got together, Corseys and others, that said, hey, we need to have something in our community to make sure that if an event happens, an incident, we have the resources to take care of that.
Okay.
And those men got together and they formed Helping Hand Fire Company.
Okay.
And they incorporated everything. And we've been trying to keep it moving ever since.
Okay.
One of the first fire chiefs was actually a Corsey.
Really?
So just to be a part of that history, every time I walk in there and just to be around those men,
Right.
I have that feeling of accomplishment.
Right.
I also know that I have a great responsibility every time I leave there and every time I come in there. And that's what I try to share every time I'm out and about. That's when we talk and others talk. When you really want to know a story, then we sit down, we go through.
So how long have you been a volunteer firefighter for?
I would say on and off for 30 years. I started when I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
Like I said, when I recently moved back, one of my cousins lost his father. So we were setting up the fire hall and getting everything for the repast. And when I walked through the engine room, I seen a lot of equipment, but it was just laying on the floor. I didn't see a lot of lockers full of equipment with guys' names. And that's when I found out manpower had really dropped off. So I made a pledge to him that, hey, when I'm back, I passed the physical, I'm coming back. And that's what I did. I came back.
Wow. And how's it feel to be back?
Oh, I've been blessed being back.
Okay.
Just to be around those guys again gives me energy when I don't have it. A brotherhood that I don't see all the time, especially every day. And then I have been appointed as their financial secretary. So I'm trying to help keep the money going within so we could last another 100 years.
So not only have you built Half the Skyline or been involved in the building of Half the Skyline, you've also supporting your community as a volunteer firefighter for over 30 years. That's amazing, man. Congratulations, brother.
I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it.
Oh my gosh. And then to stick with the community focus, you also recently just invested in a property within the community.
Correct. In South Jersey, I was looking around for different investment properties. Always been one to want to own my own investment property and help others. So I actually made my way into Paulsboro.
Okay.
And Paulsboro is in a renaissance now where it's swinging back up. And just with the knowledge that I have with CBRE, with brokerage, and what's happening in certain areas, I see this change of where industrial is starting to come back in to bring those numbers back up. At the same time, I also know that people need help.
Yeah.
The property that I actually purchased has 2 storefronts and apartment above each of the storefronts.
Right.
I was able to get a barbershop in the corner property and then get the apartment above it. I have a group of guys that work as truck drivers living in the apartment above for the local transportation company in Paulsboro. And now I'm working with Volunteers of America to bring somebody in from a shelter to put him, actually I had somebody signed up, I'm just waiting for the lease to be executed, for him to go into the apartment above.
Okay.
So that's me giving back and then also investing at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's very important for people like us to invest back into the community.
Yes.
And that's one of my biggest pitches to people that want to get into the industry or don't know if commercial real estate's for them. Because when I'm out there recruiting talent, I'm just not recruiting talent that is interested in commercial real estate. I'm also recruiting talent that's interested in accounting, talent that's interested in law, talent that's interested in finance, because I feel like I can always direct their attention to commercial real estate. And my pitch to them is, look, it's going to give you a skill set, the education and a skill set to be able to invest in your own assets, absolutely, as well as provide not just education, but also finance and capital investment into your own communities. You know, so yeah, you can be working at a law firm, or you can be working in accounting, or whatever your career choice. But commercial real estate, the pull for that, because I'm always trying to, you know, convert people into the industry, because there's just not too many kids yet. There's still a lot of great programs out there that are training these kids up, like Project Destined, et cetera. But I feel like there's a lot of talented individuals that already have professional careers, like myself, who can career pivot into commercial real estate. And one of my pitches to them is, look, you can learn in the industry and then take this skill set and go out into the field or your own community and use those same practices, and you're building your community. And that's what I feel like the minority community needs to do more of. And, you know, we are, like you said, you feel obligated, you know, to bring this back to your community and build it up. Nobody else is going to do it. And if they do it, they're going to kick people out, you know, and not have that type of remorse or empathy for the ones that have been living there for 40 years, but because there's a trend and there's a niche and there's a lot of value in these areas now, they're going in. The housing crisis is always going to be a housing crisis. So it takes people like yourself to go back into the community and land that investment. So I appreciate you for doing that too, man. Yeah.
I have a gift. God gave me a gift, and I'm using the gift, and I'm giving back. And that's where my wealth comes from.
So, and talking about individuals and trying to get them into the industry, share with me your thoughts on diversity in commercial real estate, or share with me any stories you have of any racial tensions or issues or things you've been involved in the industry that wasn't to your liking.
In my part of the industry, in project management, it's still not a level playing field. I was hoping after 30 years it had leveled off a little better than what it has been, but it's still a fight. Not that long ago, I ran into somebody on my current site that had a couple choice words about just what I was wearing on the site, that it wasn't appropriate. And I'm shocked that I would get some type of comment like that from my background and everything I've done in all the years I have in there. And I explained to this person, like, what you're talking about, and it was actually my work boots. He thought they were sneakers. And it just came out of his head like that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And just, it gave me a little more exposure, like, Lin, you're not out of the woods yet. So I pivot. I did what I needed to do to calm the waters with him and move on with my day. But it just reminded me that I still have more to do, and I still have to be aware. On top of that, I will have to work more with my team on bringing more minorities into the fold. I am not seeing anybody younger that looks like me coming in. And I'm hoping and praying and doing what I can on my end to get more minorities in, because I need to pass this 30 years to someone. And not let it just fall to the wayside. So that's what I'm struggling with now. I have made certain inroads. We have interns that are new to it, but not being exposed the way they should. Meaning that I would like to work closely with them more, but I don't have that ability right now because how big the project is. Everybody is splitting their time. So I'm hoping at some point to sit with 2 of these interns and understand what their goals are, what they would like to see. Right now, they're given tasks to do. And I just don't want them to get pushed into a corner and just think that's all their career is going to be. Understand you're going to have to do some things to work your way up, but they also need an advocate. They need a mentor. And I want to make sure that if it's not me, that they have somebody that's truly going to be a mentor and not just say, oh, I helped somebody and pass it on.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to work with on my end.
Yeah, no, man, that's great. I mean, you know, thankfully that CBRE Philadelphia office has a strong culture of diversity and leadership. So hopefully, you know, things can lead to hire or more interns, or give you that capability to be that advocate for the young or the next generation, so you pass on all your knowledge.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. We have a brief announcement giving you, the viewers, an opportunity to support this program. If you've enjoyed this type of content, which highlights the achievements of a diverse set of professionals, you can support by clicking on one of the payment app links in the description below. I'm a black man with a plan who teamed up with another skilled brother and his wife, and we've decided that there's not enough stories being shared of successful and progressive diverse individuals. For instance, if you haven't caught on already, I'm from Philly, and if you're from Philly too, see if you can answer these 3 questions. Who was the most popular black actor from Philly? Okay, who is the most successful and well-known rapper to recently come out of the city of Philadelphia? Last one. Who is the most famous and highest paid comedian to come out of Philly? Now, you didn't even have to be from the city of brotherly love to know the answer to those questions, because anyone that's been paying attention to the American culture for the past decade knows who these fine gentlemen are. And it's a testament to the talent in the city I call home. Now look, I'm not trying to name drop, although I just did, but it helps provide context for the next set of questions. Check this out. Can you name one minority individual from the city of Philadelphia who has served or currently serving as a chairman or CEO of a Fortune 500 company? Who is the most successful minority banker, venture capitalist, and/or entrepreneur to come out of Philly? Currently, who is considered one of the most distinguished minority educators, lawyers, accountants, doctors, or my personal favorite, commercial real estate developer in the city of Philadelphia? Don't know? Well, I don't know either, but I'm on a mission to find these individuals, interview them, and ensure that we all know who's who going forward. Okay, now that you get my drift, here's your opportunity to support the ongoing efforts to highlight a diverse set of professionals and to inspire the next generation. Eventually, we're looking to go across the country to speak with you or someone you know at the top of their game in their respective industry and has significant community involvement. Please contact me on LinkedIn right now. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for the latest videos on this channel. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the video.
So, so let's switch gears a little bit. Tell me a little bit about, you know, the projects you've been on. You've been investing. You're doing volunteer firefighting. What else is in Lin Corsey's life right now? Sounds like you did everything you could do, man, but yet you still have so much more to do.
I'm busy.
Yeah, I can tell.
Number one, I do have a passion for golf.
Okay.
And I am now starting to collect classic muscle cars. Right now I have just one in the stable, '87 Buick Grand National. Okay. A very mint, original condition that I take to car shows from time to time. Right. Trailer it, New York, Maryland, out PA, and that's my downtime. Wow. I go out and I'm just a car nut with certain guys, and I just take it down and I relax for the weekend, and then I'm back to the grind. Or I take the golf clubs out. I have a couple close friends that we take trips here and there, and just weekend trips, and we just play a few rounds of golf and come back. Okay. But that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. I got to connect with you on the golf, man. I have no talents in golfing, and
no, come on.
You know, it's something that I need to pick up because it is a gentleman's sport, and I'll be honest, I am getting older. And you know, playing pickup ball and you know, working out, doing a high intensity workouts. I've been doing that for about like 15 years. It gets older after a while. I'm kind of getting to that stage where I need to pick up another hobby. Now I do like shooting. I do like going into the range and shooting. That's come from my military background, but you need something more leisurely, more casual, something I can grab a drink with the buddies and just hang out.
Anytime you want.
Yeah, we'll get together sometime, man.
Let me know.
Together sometime. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go into our pretty much like a rapid fire session in this interview. So tell me one thing in your career that you wish you would have known when you first started. Made it a lot easier for you.
Oh, it would have been stay in school, get the bachelor's, go right into the master's.
Okay.
I had a block of time, build a family, and I had to do the master. At the same time, I was being soccer dad.
Okay.
So that put a lot of strain on the family.
Okay.
If I knew what I knew then, I would just stayed in school and would have completed everything and then went out into the workforce.
Wow.
Then I would have had those degrees behind me.
Okay, then what would be your biggest failure in your career thus far?
My biggest failure is not taking the jump of faith earlier than what I've done. And it's definitely with these properties. If what I know now, I wish I have done years back.
Okay.
It was just the fear of success that was holding me back until now I've touched on it and did it. And it has its hard days, but I wish I have done that early on.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that would say the same thing about their careers. So tell me 3 most influential people in your life.
My grandmother, always. She was the rock of the family.
Yes, sir.
My mother, spiritual woman, very spiritual. Every day she gives me something to smile about, even through her roughest moments. And then I would say my father.
Okay, that's amazing.
Even though it was rough with him, for him to go through and say he wanted to be a mechanical engineer and pull it off and get a job back in the late 60s, 70s as an engineer,
yes, sir,
and build the type of buildings that he built on the East Coast and on the West Coast, that's amazing.
I can't imagine. He probably had stories for days, especially being in this industry back then.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yep.
I'm sure I would love to sit down and interview with him, but unfortunately he can't do that. But he's a great man.
Yeah.
He's been a great influence to you. What are you most proud about being a Philadelphian / South Jersey resident?
Being able to help people.
Okay.
Being a volunteer right now is the greatest thing, because we're not looking to be paid, and to be around those brothers that jump in that truck and take on any event, and every event is different. Okay. And willing to put their life on the line, that's the greatest accomplishment.
Okay. And what do you think about South Jersey? What do you think about its potential to grow? Do you think there's more potential in South Jersey to grow outside of Cherry Hill?
And I do. And if you look at Camden right now with American Water, I think it's the Hilton hotels on the waterfront now, the BB and T Center that's there, the billions of dollars that was just spent in that one part of the waterfront, and now knowing that Paulsboro has something going on, and that'll probably trigger a couple of other of those areas to grow even more, I could see the waterfront along South Jersey growing.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. The waterfront is growing over there, and I definitely, can attest to your recommendation. And then I guess just more leisure conversation. What books are you reading, man? What's your favorite book? You're such an interesting guy. I want to know everything about you.
The one book that I'm reading right now is called Unhealthcare, and it's by Dr. Stephen Klasko. And what I'm intrigued about is where his mindset came to build this care facility right here in the heart of Center City. And reading that book, it explains where he's looking at years down the line where healthcare needs to be and how it's going to help everyone's community, not just Center City, where it'll make its way into North Philly the way it should, in areas that we don't have the healthcare the way we should have the healthcare. We're not running to churches or community centers for our shots and healthcare, but actually doing something that helps all.
How'd you hear about that book?
I seen him on a web link talking about it. Then I found out that he had a book, so I went and grabbed the book and I started reading. Because it's always helpful to up your friends and get knowledge that you don't have, and reach out and read about different things that are outside of your realm. And that's definitely, healthcare is not part, I'm building a facility, but I'm building it as a building. But healthcare is not in my wheelhouse. But to read a book where somebody has knowledge about it and what their vision is, it only motivates me even more.
Wow, man. Wow, that's deep. If you weren't in commercial real estate, what other career could you see yourself doing?
I would have been a lawyer.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely a lawyer.
Okay.
It's still, I have that need to want to help.
Okay.
And it wouldn't have been a high-end lawyer. I would have been a lawyer for the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess we just got out of this quarantine. situation here in the city of Philadelphia and Jersey. Did you develop any new hobbies outside of golf and muscle cars, or did you create something, at the house?
No.
Did you build something in
No.
the backyard?
I don't have that much time in the day. No.
Okay.
The quarantine did what it did. It kept me home and doing a lot of Zoom calls and Teams calls. But I tried to stay true to everything that's around me and just try to keep level. Just don't want to get sick or anything like that. So I pretty much put the brakes on.
Okay, and the last question I'm going to ask you, if you had to give advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Not mess around in your teens. Stay focused. And enjoy life even more. Have that life balance. Because see, right now, I work a lot, I do a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So I have to figure out that balance. And I need that balance.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to keep driving myself to a point where a lot of things pass me by. And I just want to make sure the younger me stuck to it, got it done, but then also enjoy life.
Right.
We have so many opportunities.
Yeah, especially in today's day and age, hopefully coming out of this pandemic, with all the initiatives, all the platforms, all the awareness nowadays, we can kind of go into a phase where we have more opportunities and we can get involved in those different things, whether they're leisure, business, social, etc. So yeah, you're right. It's very important to get that balance in life because, like you said, I think we're all, even the man behind the camera, we are all working dogs.
Yep.
So, all right, so I think that's a good end point for this interview. So thanks a lot for coming out here and sharing your story with me, the rest of the world's viewers of DCRE TV, and we'll definitely have you back in about a year or two's time.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for having me.
No problem.